Hello and welcome to the news on CCTV International. I'm Oliver Chen in Beijing. We begin with our top story. Delegates at the UN Conference on Climate Change in Copenhagen warned that it could be the best and last chance to reach a deal to protect the world from calamitous global warming. Environmentalists say they are hoping for a binding agreement. Wang Guan has more.
More than 100 heads of state and government are attending the conference. They may come with different agendas, but the summit offers the chance for a legally binding agreement that serves everyone's interests in the long run.
Let us all see above our particular interests, and during negotiations, let us always keep in mind the greater good.
I hope that when you leave this conference hall, you will leave the planet safer and greener for the future. So please help us to turn Copenhagen into Hopenhagen.
A short film called Please Help the World was shown at the meeting. It underlines the urgent need to turn previous discussions into agreements. Those discussions include a proposal annual fund of $10 billion for developing countries to come up with climate change strategies, and an initiative to shift from fossil fuels and other pollutants to greener sources of energy. In the first week, delegates will focus on the wording of a draft treaty. Major decisions will be made during the second week when environmental ministers and heads of state will attend. Outside the conference, environmental activists gather to press for responsible decisions. They are reminding the world that this chance to address climate change is a limited time offer. Wang Guan, CCTV.
Our correspondent Liu Ge is in Copenhagen to cover the proceedings. Hello, Liu Ge. What are the latest developments?
Hi. The head of Chinese delegation, Xie Zhenhua, is now holding a press conference and elaborating China's stance on the climate change. I hope I could bring you the latest about this later. Come to your question about the after the opening ceremony. Actually, there's the real negotiations. The real tough one just beginning. And the first press conference after the opening ceremony this afternoon is held by UNFCCC Executive Secretary Eva de Boer and the Minister of the UN Climate Change Conference in Copenhagen, Connie. And according to Connie, she confirmed that at the moment, she confirmed that at the moment 110 heads of state and the government will attend the conference. That's really a kind of encouraging signal. And second, she mentioned that it is time to deliver, because she really means that Copenhagen's deadline is now working, because for the past several months, developed countries have already announced their emission reduction plans, and also the developing countries like China, Brazil, South Korea, and the latest South Africa has all announced their national plans to contribute to the global effort. So this is a really kind of momentum for success. But she, at the press conference, she did mention that the finance problem may be even bigger challenge for the participant for this conference, because she do pledge that even participants cannot reach a kind of comprehensive, ambitious, legally binding treaty at the end of the conference. At least political leaders can reach a kind of political agreement which can lead to the legally binding treaty in the future. So basically that's the most latest information undergoing. Back to you, Oliver.
That's encouraging. What do you think will be the main focus for the media covering the conference?
Actually, as I mentioned before, the two focuses of the media are quite important. One is about the emission reduction target, because actually the developed countries have promised to lead this role in reducing the carbon emission. But actually, as the midterm target, according to IPCC, all the industrialized countries need to keep this kind of emission reduction at the range of 25 to 40% in order to make the temperature rising within 2 centigrade. But so far, even EU is the most promising and the most leading role in this regard. EU has only promised a kind of a 30% reduction. So this kind of emission target is far less than the IPCC required. So people here are now focusing on whether this kind of negotiation in the following days can reach this current level a little bit so that we can really reach the IPCC requirement. This is one of the concerns of the media here. And secondly, as I mentioned just now about the finance and technological support for the developing countries, according to the UN, resources needed for the adaptation, mitigation, and those technology transfer and capacity building things for the developing countries is altogether need $250 billion every year. And even as the startup funding, which means from 2010 to 2012, also need about 30 billion US dollars altogether. So how get this huge amount of money, and how much every country can contribute in this funding is kind of difficult. So as Connie also said, and the UN officials mentioned, we need to find a kind of predictable and new and reliable sources for helping developing countries to deal with the climate change in the future. Back to you, Oliver.
Thank you very much.